is Gail, and welcome to my channel tonight. If this is your first time here, I want to say welcome. And if you've been here before, I want to say welcome back. So go ahead and smash the subscribe button if you know what it's all about. And it is good to see everyone tonight. So I've got a couple of questions that I'm going to go over. One of these was just asked in general. I was out with Service Dog Pipsy and got asked this question. First, I want to do some shout outs to the first 3 channels that were here last week. And that is the Service Dog channel, Busy Lady, and the Service Aussie. So shout outs to you all. And let's see. So I've got these questions. We've kind of been doing this series. I get asked a lot of questions, and I just want to make sure I get answers to you all because I think it's very important for us to hand out accurate information because there is a lot of misinformation about service dogs, and especially when it comes to service dogs, therapy dogs, ESAs, and so forth. So I'm going to be looking at some of those in a future video, but right now we're just concentrating on service dogs and travel because here it is. It's late April. Easter is coming up next week. And then we're going into primetime travel season. So for those of you who are planning your road trips and vacations and staycations and you have service dogs, I want to answer some of your questions so you'll have an even better time on your trips. And as you know, if you follow this channel, I have done a lot of traveling with my service dogs. I've had 2. My first one was Tomlin, and he was an amazing husky mix. And my second dog is service dog Pipsy, who is an amazing Labrador retriever. And they both have a lot of things that they do and did for me. And we've talking about some of those, in these questions. So if you have a question, drop it down in the comments. And we've been joined tonight by Peter Parker. So, hi, Peter. How are you? Uh-oh. Go ahead and let us know what your bad news is. And I'm sorry. You've really been through a lot of difficult circumstances, and I am really sorry about that. So let us know. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to dive in. The first thing that I am asked is, are service dogs allowed in hotels? And the answer is, yeah. Service dogs can go almost every place we can go, as far as like humans can go. So they can go with us to hotels. But here's the thing about hotels. You may have some trouble when you go in. And that's why I always carry a copy of the ADA service dog law, because I have needed to present that several times now. Recently, I was at a hotel in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, where when I got there, the hotel actually had me sign an agreement. And part of the agreement was okay because it was all about, your service dog must be with you at all times, which that comes straight out of the ADA because your service dog has to always be under your control. And your service dog can't be under your control if you're at one part of the hotel and the service dog is in your room. So that part made sense. But there were some other things like not being able to put the hang tag on your door for do not disturb and stuff like that. I see some things popping up in the chat. So let me go back over here to the chat for just a second. Okay, we have Peter Parker. Oh, crap. Peter, I am so sorry. Doubly sorry. Well, you take care too. Um, I don't know if there's anything we can do, but if there is, let me know if there's anything I can do from here. I'm so sorry. Now, I'm just going to take a second here and pray. This is a little off script, I know. Not that I really have a script, but Lord Jesus, touch Peter, heal Peter. Let him feel your presence and your sense of peace, and help him get through this, Lord, and emerge healthy and whole in your holy name. Amen. Peter, I hope you feel better soon. I'm so sorry. Okay, so on the hotels, I'm going to get back to this. Hold on just a second. Okay, so on the hotels, let me say that if you're asked to sign a form, or if you have some problems at entrance, go ahead and show your ADA law, because 90% of the time, it is just a situation where somebody just doesn't understand the rules. Occasionally, you will find somebody that doesn't care, but most of the time, they just don't understand. Um, I am working on the video about the situation in Pigeon Forge, but it's taking me a while with all the medical stuff, so bear with me. But I hope to get that up soon. The other thing about hotels is obviously you have to have your service dog with you to be in control of it. So do have your service dog with you. Do not leave it off in another room, another part of the hotel. You'll also have to watch being in the pool area. I know a lot of people take their service dogs in the pool area, and that is great. Just be aware that some other things may come into play, and that is the pool area has a tendency to sometimes, if it's indoors, be really hot and muggy. So you've got to take that into consideration with your service dog when you're in hotels, because you want to make sure your service dog can stay healthy. I mean, that's what we all want. So yeah, your service dog can go to hotels. Now, I do want to toss out that Airbnb requires hosts to accept service dogs. But if you're in a situation where it's a bed and breakfast, then talk to them first, not because your service dog's not allowed, but because there may be steps and things and that you may not be able to do. So I would suggest always calling in B&B first. I ran into that in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We stayed at this gorgeous bed and breakfast. It was amazing, but they only had one room that I could use. And if it had been booked up, that would have been too bad, because they had 2 flights of steps. You had to go up and down. And that's why I say give them a call. Same thing with some of the boutique hotels who are in historic sites. You can still take your service dog, because the ADA says service dogs have to go, or are allowed to go, most places where people can go. But again, you may come up with some access issues due to the way the building is designed. So yes. Let's see. That's number 1. Okay. Peter, I am so sorry. I get that, and I am so sorry. And again, you know, if there's anything I can do from here to help. Okay. So that's going to bring us to question 2. And that is, how does a flight? Question 2 is, how does a mobility service dog help you on vacation? So I think really this person was asking, like, what kind of tasks does he do when I'm on vacation as opposed to when I'm not? And it's really the same. I mean, Pipsy is taught to balance, brace, counterbalance. He alerts to blood sugar, asthma, seizures. He helps retrieve dropped items, and so forth. And he does a lot more than that, but obviously those are the big things. And when we're on vacation, he does all of that also. So I can't really say that he does anything special when we're on a road trip versus when we're home. Possibly the only thing that might be different is he might do a little bit more of the balancing simply because when we're in the car or van, I make sure that he gets a walk about every 2.5 hours. If we see a rest area, I'm sorry, if we see a welcome center, we're going to stop on that road trip. I'm going to get him out and he's going to go on a really big walk because he's cooped up, you know? And at home, he gets to run around the house or he'll walk some outside. But in an enclosed environment, he doesn't get that. So he might do a little bit more of the balancing and counterbalancing, maybe bracing, simply because when I park, you've got the curbs and steps and so forth before you can get to the sidewalk. So that's going to be about all that I can really think of that he does differently. Now, if you have a service dog and you are listening to this live stream at some point, tell me what if your dog does something different on vacation that he doesn't do normally. Okay, drop that into the comments below. If you catch this on a replay, it's going to be really important to leave those comments because you're going to help the next person that comes and looks at the replay that much more. Okay. All right. So that's number 2. Number 3, is van life travel with dogs complicated? And I answered this pretty strongly with Millie's email. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about that now, of course, because that's what you're here for. So is van life travel with dogs, specifically service dogs, more complicated than traveling by yourself? And yeah, it is. Of course it is. Because you've got another soul that you're responsible for that you have to take care of. So that means making sure you have space for his dog food, his reserved extra dog food, his toys, his towels, anything that he might need. You got to make sure that you have space for that. So that may limit the amount of luggage and that may complicate your trip just a little bit. The other thing is, as far as complicating things, is the stopping more often. Now, I might go, when I'm by myself, I might do 3 or 4 hours without stopping. And I know that's really not the best thing, but that's just me. But when I have my service dog with me, he's got to get out more. Like I just said a minute ago. And that trip where I'm gone really long, that was when I was in between service dogs, okay? Because Pipsy is always with me. He can't do his job. He can't alert to blood sugar if he's not with me, right? So he's always there. And I think that it does complicate things a little bit. It's harder, too, to just jump out of the car and go pay for your gas. If you have to go inside and pay for the gas, then you want to take your service dog with you. So it takes an extra minute to get him dressed and put his leash on him and be able to go with you into that gas station. So, yeah, it's a little bit more complicated. But is it worth it? Oh, yeah. So that's a big thing. One other thing that I like to do, and it's a little bit complicating, is when I'm in the van, I like to have water out for him all the time. So I guess you could say it's a little more complicated to make sure his water bowl is filled up. I don't know. You tell me what you think. And let's see. Number 4. And I thought this one's really interesting. It is, as a disabled traveler, what kind of support do you need on road trips? This is so multifaceted. And I was asked this actually on the road. The person who asked me this saw me in the leg brace, saw me with service dog Pipsy, and they got a little concerned, but they have a family member who has a disability that's also mobility related, similar to mine, they said. And they were asking, and I really think that they were trying to reassure themselves that their family member could take the road trip. So you can do it. You can do it. You can do it if you plan carefully. And this is one question that you really need to consider. And you may need to sit down with your pen and paper. I didn't realize I was still holding this. But you may need to sit down with your pen and paper and make a list. But off the top of my head, the 2 big things are medical for you and your service dog, and supplies for you and your service dog. Because if you have those in place, everything else just comes together. And what I mean by medical and vet and supplies is, of course, for your service dog, making sure that you have the amount of food that he needs on a trip, plus extras, just in case something goes wrong and you have more days. With you, make sure you have all of your medicines with you, plus a few days. I strongly recommend that you don't take your medicines in the little pill pouches or containers and leave the rest of it at home. Take it all with you, because you may get stuck out somewhere and you're not planning on it and you'll need it. So have all of your supplies. And when I'm saying supplies, I'm also including a med sheet. And I've got that in his saddlebags and in my purse. So that way, if anything happens, somebody has the information. I also have it on the emergency feature on my cell phone. That said, okay, what does medical and what does vet look like when you're on the road? I have been doing telehealth for years, well before 2020. And it's important to look at that before you leave home. So you'll have that information at your fingertips. What company are you going to use? Does your insurance cover it? Do you have a copay? How are you going to do that? Just things like that. Something that is coming about, which is really kind of interesting to me, is my insurance company has text care, and it's covered 100% under our insurance company. I don't have to worry about a copay. It's 24 hours a day, no matter where I am. I can send them a text message and say, hey, I'm starting to get congested. My O2 sats are dropping. I think I need some medicines. What do you think, and what do I do? And you can send them photos. You can take a video, just as it would be for any other telehealth, but you're texting. That opens up a world to you that you may not have available, that you really or that you may not realize is available, that you want to make sure you have the information on. Now, I think Amazon also has some Amazon Medical or Amazon Care, and they don't accept insurance. So, or didn't the last time that I looked at it. So check that out as a potential option too. I used, oh my gosh, I can't think of the name of it. MD Live. That's who I have used in the past with really good luck. Now, for my dog, there's two things that I do for him. I always make sure I have an emergency pet kit in the car with me. You never know. I mean, he could eat something and get sick. How many of you all have a dog that eats things that they're not supposed to? Oh, yeah, I see one hand right there. And you're going to want to have something that on you that you can take care of it. That's just part of taking care of him from a medical perspective for your dog, from that vet perspective. Also, you want to have really several things in it. You want to be able to clean its ears, things like that. So always make sure you have a good first aid kit. Now, a lot of the first aid kits on Amazon need some little TLC to bump them up. So talk to your vet and find out what you might need for your service dog. I also made sure that I have Benadryl in mind just in case he gets into something that he's allergic to, which with service dog see is pretty much anything under the sun these days. So definitely on that. But you also want to plan with your service dog. I have him covered under two different ways for his vet care. One, I have him covered under pet insurance with Embrace. Now, I'm not really crazy about it, but it's there. And once you get pet insurance for your dog, it's really almost impossible to change, I found out. And that's because all these programs want all this information and they don't cover pre-existing conditions and so forth. So when you get pet insurance, don't get it just thinking about a road trip. Think about for your dog's entire life, okay? Huge thing there. The other thing that I do is I have them covered under the Banfield Wellness Plan. And one of the things that I really like about that is there are Banfields in most states across the country. So if you're on a road trip, it's a little easier to find a vet if you're tied in with a national network. And Banfield has the other advantage by being on the wellness plan. You also don't have to pay an office visit. So if you're just like, look, my service dog's just kind of acting a little lethargic, I just want to have him looked at, or can you do a quick check on pick a problem, then sometimes I can get in and out with not paying anything. That's really important to me. And believe me, this is not sponsored by Banfield. I don't make anything from talking about them. I just really like the whole network that they have, knowing somebody's available. And the other thing that I really like about Banfield is they have 24/7 vet techs on call, on live chat. You can go in their app, you can ask them questions. They can't prescribe medications, okay? But they can answer your questions. And they have 24-hour telehealth vet services so you can talk to a veterinarian. So between those two things, I feel pretty well covered with Service Dog Pipsy. I've had really, really good luck with having them on the Banfield Wellness Plan. So I would definitely, obviously, check into those two options. Now, one thing I also like about Banfield is that money comes out of my checking account every month for his wellness plan, whereas the insurance is a pay first, reimburse later. And if it's something big, frankly, I don't know how I'm going to do that. But we're making a plan and I'll figure out the rest at the moment. And then question number 5. What are your top 2 tips for RV travel with a service dog? Because I do van life. I have my van that we travel in quite frequently, which I have recently wrecked. So my wings are clipped just a little bit. And we have the RV that we use for the road trips. Generally, if my husband's with me, we're in the RV. And if I'm out by myself tackling the world, yay, then we'll be out doing the whole van life thing. And my two big tips are for the RV travel is pretty much the same that I would say for the van. Make sure you have his comfy stuff. You know, if he likes certain toys or if he's partial to certain towels or if you can bring his bed along, do that. Okay? Keep water out all the time. So if you stop and you go into your RV for a few minutes, it's really easy to offer him some water. Patience, patience, patience is one thing that I would really ask that you have lots of for any road trip when you're traveling with a dog, a pet, a service dog, full-grown dog, adult dog, puppy, anything with 4 feet and fur, okay? So when I do a lot of campgrounds when I'm with the RV, and the other thing that I would really say is be cognizant of where you are parking the RV. If you have an option to drive around the campground and look and see if there's a nice shady spot, if it's hot weather, or a nice sunny spot, if it's cold weather, try to pick something that's going to be better for your dog so he'll be more comfortable outside. And take a look around first thing when you park. Watch for any kind of trash or anything that's out on the ground because you're going to want to pick it up immediately. You don't want to take a chance on your service dog, possibly stepping on a screw, which I've seen before, or just having, trash from like food or fast food and starting to eat that. So make sure that your space is clear of that and make sure that you're parking in a place that's going to give him or her maximum comfort for your puppy of all ages. So those are the 5 questions that I thought we'd cover today. If you have any more, like I said, drop them in the comment section. Very important. I do get to them just as fast as I can. I've had some medical things come up this past year. It's already been medical crazy for me. So I am a little bit behind on answering the questions, but I will. Just give me time. In fact, my latest thing, I broke my back in January. And I've been dealing with this and MRIs and different things. And I saw the orthopedic doctor. And this is one of the things that I'm really glad about Service Dog Pipsy being able to do the mobility work because they're very on point about don't fall, don't risk it because of further damaging my back. And I think I was really lucky about that when I wrecked the van the other day. And he's been super, but that was more doctor appointments. So I talked to them and we're talking about whether or not to put cement in my back because I have what they call a burst fracture. And there's really not much bone they can get that will heal, hence talking about the cement. So I had that appointment, but also where I already have the nerve damage in my back that caused the foot drop, that caused me to need a mobility assistant service dog, they want me to go to a neurosurgeon. So I'm scheduled for that. And one thing I will tell you about traveling with a service dog, or it's the same as going to the doctor with your service dog here, and that is your medical team may be a little standoffish because some people are trying to pass pets off as service dogs. And with service dog, it is all about the training and the tasks that they can do. So you may have to explain a little bit more. Now, I was in one situation with an emergency department that was about 45 minutes from home. They were phenomenal. And they even asked me, can you tell us about the task that your dog does and how he does it? Because they were considering him a part of the medical team, which he is, but usually other people don't give this kind of consideration. And they were like, if he alerts to your blood sugar, we may not be in the room. So, how does he alert? What do we look for? So that way we'll know to step in and get you, juice or whatever. Or if he's going to alert for a seizure, how does he do that? And so it made me, and of course the mobility stuff, I mean, that was pretty plain because it is harness, but it gave me more security in using that emergency department because they were so great and accepting about my service dog. And that goes to, his training, his behavior, all kinds of things there. But when you're on the road, you may unfortunately have something that goes wrong. And that's why it's important to have that medical support that I mentioned earlier. And you're not supposed to be separated from your service dog. And I've known people who got stuck and wound up going to the hospital and getting admitted. So at that point, what do you do if you have a service dog? Both of the people who did have that situation went to a dog sitting service and got help, had the dog in the room with them, but the service came once or twice a day. I don't know how often, but they took the dog out for a walk. One of my friends, actually, when she was inpatient, she not only used a service, but she got lucky. One of the nurses on her shift happened to be a huge dog lover. So she worked out with the nurse that if the nurse would take the dog out for, I don't know, once a day, twice a day, I don't remember that. But she told her that if she would take the service dog out for her, she would pay her what she would with a dog sitter. And apparently the nurse was all about that because she was making extra money by taking the dog out real quick. And who doesn't need a few extra dollars now and then, right? It happens. So think about that. Think about what that might look like and who you would call or talk to if, God forbid, something happened and you were admitted, because things like that come up. And obviously, if you have several disabilities or even one, you're at a little bit more of a higher risk for that happening than, say, the average person. So just think about that as part of your medical plan, okay? And yeah, so that's what I have tonight. And if you are watching and you have a question, you want to type it in, go for it. Just to recap, my experience is I've been a service dog handler since 2007, except for a brief period of time where one service dog passed away and I still wasn't up on the list yet to receive service dog PIPC. So other than that brief period, I've always had a service dog. And obviously I've run into lots of issues. My first service dog, I owner trained. My second dog came from a program. So I see both sides of that. And I think that helps me have a better perspective and a better understanding of like the difference between the various types of not just service dogs, but, the ESAs and therapy dogs and so forth. So in fact, if you all didn't know, I'm getting another service dog in June. It looks like it was going to be March, but where I broke my back, I had to delay it because they're like, don't travel. And so I'm a little bit nervous. I will be traveling the end of this month because my grandbaby has a birthday and I got to go check that out. And it's like a 3-day drive. So I am a little nervous about that. And they've had to put some parameters in place. So yeah, that's just one of those things. You gotta, when you've got a disability, you gotta expect everything, right? Okay. So if you have any questions, then like I said, drop them in the comments down below. You can stick them in the chat, but I'm going to be signing off here in just a few minutes. I appreciate everybody too that's come and hung out. Something else I want to know about from you all is, should we maintain this stream on a Saturday night, or is it better for some of you all to come in on a Sunday night? I have heard some little comments and stuff, or not heard, I've received some comments and stuff, both here and Facebook messages. So I just want to hear from you all. What do you think? Staying with Saturday night or moving to Sunday? Just let me know. You all go out, have a great week, have a great holiday, because tomorrow is Palm Sunday and next week we've got Easter. Have a great time period. And always, always, always be bodacious. Don't let life stop you from living. Go have fun. Thanks for watching. I will see you on the next video, and check out what's going to be popping up on the end of this one for next time. Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody.